To give you a bit of a background of, the whole environment that nurtured this, crazy ego monster personality that I used to have, is my first real workplace where I was at for four and a half years. Basically the place where I grew up as a young adult was exactly what you're describing. The people were only, coin operated. The management was only cared about you if you were putting out results. There was micromanagement. There was, it was not a nurturing environment by any means, but at least it was a sales environment, so everybody kind of knew what they were getting themselves into, in the sense that, hey, you can do what you want as long as my paycheck comes in time and it has this many zeros, I'm good with it. So I've seen how that works, and I've seen how detrimental it is to people's mental health, including mine, and what kind of person you come out working in that type of environment. Now, the way that type of environment gets fostered from the beginning is really a generational issue, and it's been that way. It's been the status quo for the better part of the last 2 centuries. The corporate environment works as a chain of screaming structure, where the CEO is yelling at the VP is yelling at the manager, and the manager is yelling at their team. Because, productivity arises from fear, right? I mean, that's at least what was thought of as to be fact for the longest time in the world. So really, it's a problem of environment. Listen, you put a good man between pigs and he's going to be playing in the mud soon enough. It's just a fact. And that's how corporate structures have been raised for forever. And all of these old school companies had this issue from the get-go. Now, when startups started appearing, like tech startups, that's when they started, let's take a little bit more care of our people. Google gives you all these benefits, blah, blah, blah. But, there was still a managerial issue there, right? So now what we could call the business environment of, the post-pandemic business environment, let's just call it that, when solopreneurship and startups really took over and they became fully global and fully remote, this is where the revolution is happening. Like, this is going to be the status quo 10 years from now. It's going to be all about nurture, it's going to be all about growth, and it's all going to be about the human element of the employee. And this isn't me just pulling it out of my ass. I talked to a couple of people that are advisors that are advising Fortune 500 companies currently how to pivot to that state of management. So this isn't just something that I've made up. I've had a conversation with a couple of guys who are in those positions, who are, also podcasters, and they get hired by the most brutal companies you could imagine to humanize the workplace. So this movement is happening whether you like it or you're not, but this is a sink or swim moment for a lot of these corporate structures that were old, stale, and soon enough they're going to be null and void.